Welcome to Lehaalot podcast, a space for Jewish women to share the story behind the spark, how they encountered their inner light, nurtured it, and found the courage to let it illuminate the world. This is your space to rise, to shine, and to bring your unique light into the world. Good morning, Tila. I'm very happy to have you today in our Lehaalot podcast. I know that you accepted to walk to my house. We are neighbors and we've known each other for many years. I've always admired your family and how they are so united and how women in the family are really powerful. And I think you represent the strength, the rooted strength of Jewish women. So I'm very excited to have you today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. I'd like to ask this question when we start the podcast. If your life was a book, what would be the title of the book?
Wow. I think there's so many different chapters, and I think the title would change because when you're young, you see yourself a certain way. And then as you grow up, you kind of grow into yourself. Mm-hmm. If I had to title a book today,
yes,
it would have something to do with Jewish leadership or a mother and leadership, because I pride myself first and foremost on being a mom. I think it's my most important job and I take it very seriously. I have 6 children and I worked very hard to have. So I appreciate every one of them and every moment with them. I cherish, I'm sure all mothers do, but when you can't have something, you want it even more.
Of course.
And I think everything that I do today, I am most proud when my children are proud of me. So when they talk about me or they ask my opinions or they tell their friends about something that I'm doing, that's what makes me proud. So I think my book would be called Being a Mom and a Jewish Leader.
I love it. I love it. And if there is one multi-role woman, it's you. Can you tell us about everything you do?
Okay, I'll try to tell you about everything I do. So being a mom is my full-time job.
Yes.
Being a community activist has always been a passion. I grew up in a family of very powerful Jewish leaders in the Jewish world of women. And eventually everybody branched out. It was not just women, but it was anything in the community. For me, I've been very involved in Jewish education. I've been involved in Jewish advocacy, and anything that has to do with Israel always has my name on it.
You created a school.
I did. So I didn't do that alone. I am the founding president of a new high school. It's called Jewish Culture High School. Rabbi Aaron Asseroff is really the founder of the school. It was his brainchild, and I helped make it happen along with an incredible team of professionals. I didn't know anything about education. I'm not an educator by trade, but I think today, because of the position that I was brought into, I'm now very involved in Jewish education. It's a new concept in education. We like to say that we're disrupting education. And
it's out of the classroom, right?
Well, a lot of it, there's 5 core classes that everybody has to take. Mm-hmm. Math, English, science, social studies, and an elective. That's how it works in every high school to be recognized by the state. But no one is telling you what kind of math, what kind of English, what kind of social studies. And definitely the electives are all up to the school. Being that we're a religious Zionist school, a lot of it revolves around Israel. A lot of it revolves around the Torah. Half of our curriculum is Judaic classes, but the electives and the internships all happen outside of the school. So the city is our campus. And instead of bringing all of the professionals on campus, we send the kids out to the professionals.
So beautiful.
Art is at an art museum. Music is at a music studio. Fishing and sailing is on the ocean. So it depends what the kid is passionate about. And we always incorporate not just their passion, but how it relates to them as a Jew and how they can live according to Torah with the Jewish values that we want to instill in them to become Jewish leaders. So that's the school.
That's beautiful already. So a full-time mom, and that's your priority, an Israeli activist, a founder of a school.
Yeah. And then I think the other main thing that I'm most proud of that I've done in my life, I did with my sisters and a great team of really awesome volunteers. But we created a Yom Ha'atzmaut celebration for all of the Jewish kids in every single Jewish school in South Florida.
That's amazing.
We kind of wanted to model something like the New York Day Parade, Israel Day Parade. In Florida, that doesn't work because of weather. So we had to do it in a stadium.
Of course.
There's the parade element, there's the celebration element, and then there's the thanking Hashem, because in everything that I do, I think it's important to always incorporate the land of Israel, the people of Israel, and the Torah of Israel, which is who we are.
Exactly. That makes us one.
I think that makes us one, but it also makes us who we are individual. That's what makes us a well-rounded Jew.
Beautiful. How did this passion for Israel was born? How were you brought up into it? What's the story behind?
So I was definitely born into it. And from a very young age, we knew that everything we did revolved around Israel. On one side, my mother's side, they're from Eastern Europe. We come from Holocaust survivors, and my grandfather was a Russian soldier that liberated the camps.
Wow.
On my father's side, his father also came from Eastern Europe on the Hatikva boat to Israel, but my grandmother's family was 8th generation in Israel, and they fought in the Lehi, in the Palmach, in the Etzel to establish the state of Israel. So we definitely come from a place of survival and also leadership. Then from a very young age, I did not grow up in a wealthy family. And my father saved what he can to take us to Israel every year. And every summer we spent in Israel. My parents wanted us to speak Hebrew. They wanted us to feel Israel. So growing up, I didn't go skiing in Colorado. I went skiing in the Hermon. I didn't go scuba diving in Cancun. I went scuba diving in Eilat. And all of my memories were made walking and living in the land of Israel. Now everybody goes to Israel in the summer. But when I was growing up, it was not so cool to go to Israel. My friends were going to camp. Everyone was going on these really fancy, great trips. And Israel was not the modern place that it is today, but yet we knew that that's where we needed to be. And we connected to the people, we connected to the land. And a lot of the people, even in leadership positions today in Israel, are people that we grew up with.
Wow. How did it give you a sense of responsibility to carry out this identity of you cannot be a Jew without Eretz Israel, with the land of Israel, because you were born here in Miami, right?
Born and raised in Pelham.
In Pelham, okay. And I feel that a lot of American Jews feel so comfortable here in the United States, at least when you grew up, that contrary to the European Jews who feel so unwelcome in Europe, that Israel was always our to-go place. Like we belonged to Israel before anywhere else because we knew we didn't belong to France or to anywhere we were. So I was wondering, like, how when you were born and brought up in Miami, which is very friendly to Jews, at least for the last 20 years when I was there, I really saw that. How did you feel that connection, and how were you able to spread that message?
So I think there's a lot of elements to what you're asking me. First of all, you're right. I grew up in Miami. Until today, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, I have never experienced anti-Semitism. Of course, I know it's out there. I know that we're living during very difficult times, and a lot of our brothers and sisters in the US and abroad are experiencing very horrible fates. I never felt that growing up. I grew up in a very warm and loving environment in a community that was small at the time. Now Miami is like the place to be, and every Jewish person that wants to feel, Jewish and comfortable comes to Miami. So I grew up in a Miami where there was one kosher pizza shop, and that was it.
Wow.
We didn't have kosher restaurants.
Did you always eat kosher?
Yes, we always ate kosher. And it wasn't a cool thing, and it wasn't popular, and I was always left out because I couldn't eat the pizza at the birthday party, and because People make plans on Shabbat that I was never a part of. I didn't like it, and I wasn't proud of it growing up. I wasn't at all.
Did it rooted your Jewish identity with, like, I mean, knowing that you were different from the other Jews around you because you had that Torah?
I think as a kid, it was hard. I wasn't proud of it. It was something that sometimes I was ashamed of, that I was the only one. And there was people that were very religious, and there were people that were not religious, but there was nobody like me.
You.
And even within my own family, there was different levels. And my mother's family, my cousins were not religious, but they came to us for Shabbat. So that was something that I always looked forward to. But I was not proud with being religious growing up. I think that when I found myself in a difficult situation as a young adult, I was married at 18 and I was divorced at 19.
Wow.
And I think that that solidified who I was for me. I realized what was important to me and what I needed to fight for to live the life that I wanted. So part of that was being religious. Part of that was being a Zionist and wanting to spend every free moment that I had in Israel. And not everybody felt that at the time. We didn't even have a direct flight from Miami. It was hard to get to Israel. It was expensive. It was hard. It wasn't convenient. And we never stopped going to Israel. So as a religious Jew, it was hard in a non-religious environment. Today, I mean, my kids, they live the life. They're the same as everybody else. And who doesn't want to eat in a kosher restaurant in Miami? It's the best restaurant in town. So that solidified who I was, and I knew what was important to me and what I was not willing to give up. But it made me go through something hard before I could realize that. But I was born into a family of focusing on Israel in every aspect. My mother was the president and one of the founders of WITSO in Miami. My grandmother was the national chairman and one of the founders of FIDF in South Florida also. And I just knew that everything we did was to help Israel. My mother was helping the women and children. I was 3 years old when I had a little tzedakah box. Now it's like very normal. What kid doesn't have a tzedakah box? But I was like the only kid that had a tzedakah box. And that tzedakah box was going to kids in Israel. At my
What did you feel as a 3-year-old? Did you realize what it was?
It's just, no, it's who we were. That's what we did. That's what my mother taught me. My mother nursed me in WITSO meetings. So I didn't know anything different. I didn't know that people didn't do that. And my bat mitzvah, I remember every kid got a certificate with a picture of a child that we had adopted for my bat mitzvah. And it said a donation has been made in honor of Tila's bat mitzvah, and people got to take home this kid in Israel. I don't know, probably they threw it away. I don't think they understood it. Today, probably it would be framed and everybody would put it in their home because they understand who the children of Israel are, why we're helping them, why we need to have an Israel, because now there's crazy anti-Semitism in the world. We did things that were maybe not popular, but that's who we were. And we never changed. And that's why when people ask me, how did October 7th change you? October 7th did not change me at all. What it did is maybe solidify my message and helped me by getting other people on board to things that were always important to me that I many times felt very alone. But now I had people to help me, wanting to be involved. How can we help? What can we do? How do we adopt a child? Help. And my sisters and I and my brother, we started a foundation for widows. And we're helping widows directly. And so it's not for us, it's really nothing changed. Just our energies are refocused based on the need in Israel and what's going on at the time. But I think it's a beautiful thing to watch how everybody else has joined in on this mission. And when we used to celebrate Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut, and for everybody else, it was a regular day, now people get it. And I used to sometimes call my sisters and say, like, how could it be that the friends that I love, that I feel so close to all year round, don't care about the things that I care about? Maybe they're not my friends. But I realized they were my friends. They just didn't know. And it took many, many, many years for people to learn.
Definitely. Many years. You seem to be working a lot with your sisters in order to organize all this chesed for Israel and support Israel. How did do you all have the same role in your organization, or do you have?
So everyone has a different talent and everyone has a different way of working. We've always worked together because our passion is the same. But for example, I know nothing about graphic design. I'm not creative. I have one sister who does all that. I have another sister who's very organized and can make spreadsheets and calculations and budgets,
put names
and keep track of everything. That's not what I do either.
Yeah.
I know how to mobilize. I know how to engage with people. I know how to fundraise. And I think that that's a very important point because everyone can be driven towards the same goal, but the way that you execute it is very different. So it's important to know what you're good at and what you're not good at. And know how to say, I don't know how to do that.
Definitely.
And let somebody else do what they're good at. And then you bring that talent together.
And this is very difficult for a leader. And a true leader knows that he has to be able to recognize what he can do, what is his strength, and what is not his strength in order to really lead and lift everybody up. But I feel like it's something very difficult for someone who has a lot of personality and who can achieve a lot to be able to let go on certain things. Do you think you would have been able to do that had it not been in a family environment?
Look, even within a family environment, obviously there's disagreements, there's fights, there's personalities, there's feelings, egos, lack of ego. So at the end of the day, if you're focused on the mission, and that's many times, even when my mother would work for Wito, and if she's frustrated with a situation, or my grandmother with her 5 years, I would tell them, like, you're not raising money for your friends, you're raising money for Israel. So at the end of the day, if you're focused on a mission and that is your common goal, and you remind yourself that, you can figure out how to put aside the drama, because when girls come together, there's going to be drama, whether you're related or not. And I've had a lot of drama, a lot of heartache, and I've been hurt by people, and I'm sure I have hurt people along the way unintentionally. I think it's very important to know how to say you're sorry and move on. There are things that I have not moved on from. It's because people don't apologize and continue to ignore what happened. But it could happen in any setting. At the end of the day, what keeps me going is that I'm reminding myself that I'm on a mission, and my mission is to help the Jewish people. And I'll do whatever it takes. So many times when people call me and ask me to help them on a project, that's hard for me to say, I can't right now, or that's not something I'm passionate about, because even though it's super important, and I'll help them with contacts and phone calls and, networking, I know how to bring people together. I can't always be involved in something, because if it's not something I'm passionate about, I know I'm not going to get it done, and I don't want to let people down.
Definitely. You mentioned that you were always raised with that model, role models of being like there and supporting Israel and trying to give to Israel through maybe the third generation, even maybe more, I don't know. But did it really become your own mission through those challenges you mentioned earlier?
It depends what. I think once I knew what was important to me, and it was no longer what was important to my parents, and when you own it, you're more driven. So definitely, whatever challenges I went through that showed me what I was willing to fight for and who I really was and what I was not willing to give up. Look, even in finding my husband, when we went on a date and I was leaving a month later to Israel for the summer, because that's what we did. And my husband at the time said, oh, we spend summers in Israel too. I'll be there. So I spent the summer in Israel with the new person that I was dating. I realized, wow, like, he gets it. And that means that I can spend the rest of my summers in Israel. That means that I can bring my children to Israel and spend the summer there.
So you're bringing along the values of
yes, there are things in life that are not negotiable. Yeah. And to me, it was Jewish education, Hashem, keeping Shabbat, keeping kosher, and living a Torah life, and incorporating Israel into our regular life. There are people that I know that you say to them, what are you doing for the summer? And they'll tell you they're going to Europe and they're going to Australia and they're going to South Africa and they're going to the Greek islands. I also want to travel. But my travels always were through Israel, right? So we would like, on the way to Israel, stop in Paris. On the way back from Israel, stop in Amsterdam. There's other places that I've been to in the world, not just Israel. And that's okay. But I also have heard when people say, oh, I've been to Israel once, enough. Like, now I want to see the rest of the world. To me, Israel's not the rest of the world. It's where I live. It's where I spend time. It's where I connect to myself and to my roots and to my people. I have friends in Israel, from the people on the left marching in the streets, and I have friends that are living in trailers on the outskirts of Hebron. And to me, those are my people, and I'm going to do everything I can to connect them and to connect them to each other, because I think that that's a big piece of what's going on in Israel, right?
Exactly. What do you think about this crisis within the people of Israel?
I think it's a very small group of extremists that are making a lot of noise. Like what we saw here in the United States with Black Lives Matter, Me Too, all these movements, I think are few people that make a lot of noise, and the media is never really with the right wing. They're usually very liberal and with the left. So you hear about it a lot more, and it's amplified through the media. What do I really think is going on in Israel? I think that people love each other. I think that people help each other. If you go to the hospitals, if you go to the army, in the tanks, on the field, if you go to a coffee shop, if you sit in a taxi, people do feel connected to each other. I always tell a story that one time I was in a taxi and I said it was my birthday, and 2 hours later, the taxi driver brought me a cake to the hotel I was staying at that his wife baked in her kosher kitchen to wish me a happy birthday. Those things don't, of course, it was a long time ago, but those things don't happen around the world. When you hear Hebrew and you're in the Bahamas, you automatically feel connected to that person, and you don't even know why.
What connects us?
I think what connects us is a shared history and a shared set of values. And even if someone is not living a Torah life, they are connected to their values of who they are. What makes us Jewish is not just our religion, it's our identity, and it's what we believe in. So you can believe in God, not believe in God. You can keep Shabbat, you cannot keep Shabbat. And still what's going to connect you to another Jew is the shared links of the chain of tradition and of history that bring us together. And when you sit at a table with any Jew around the world, the Kiddush is the same, the prayers, the songs, the traditions, everyone has challah and candles and wine, and it doesn't matter where you come from or what language you speak, you sing the same Shalom Aleichem, and you say the same brachot over the candles and over the challah. And don't call it religion, call it tradition. But it's a tradition that is thousands of years old that connect us to one another.
Mm-hmm. We say, Kol Yisrael arevim ze leze. We're all interconnected. And it comes even from the soul that we received. We're about to celebrate Shavuot. And really that's the moment where individuals, the Bnei Israel, melted into Am Israel. That's the moment of connection. And this Torah that united us is really something that, even if we don't believe in God, as you said, like a lot of Jews don't necessarily believe in God, even though I'm always surprised in Israel that even those who say they are not religious, they say Baruch Hashem, may Hashem bless you. They're
spiritual, not religious.
Exactly. So that's beautiful. How do you perceive the world of Haredim and non-religious in Israel? And as a mother of a soldier, and I think, is Joseph reading also?
No, he's going to Israel, but he's not going to be a soldier. My daughter Danielle was a soldier, and my brother was a soldier. My cousins were soldiers. I think it's really complicated. If you learn the history of what happened at the establishment of the state of Israel, there was a small amount of Haredim that wanted to sit and learn Torah. And at the time, they were not needed to fight or in the war, and they didn't have the skills. So there was an agreement that was made that the Haredim will study and the non-religious will go to the army. It was a small amount of people. the communities grew, society grew, Israel as a state and as an independent nation grew. And I think it's a very big problem because you're creating resentment, whether it's between each other or even between mothers. Why is my son good enough to go and fight and, God forbid, pay the ultimate price, and your son is not? Is it because he's better? Is it because he's worse? What's the situation? I don't think that it's like the end of all relationships between Israelis, because many people make it seem like there's no chance. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with that. I think that in the rest of the world, people who are ultra-Orthodox and Haredi do have to work, do have to contribute, do have to pay taxes, do have to live according to the laws of the land, whether it's in the United States, in France, Europe, wherever they live. In Israel, this exception was made, and it needs to be changed. And it's very important for people to have a presence in the government, because I always say, if you don't like something, get involved. Don't complain, get involved. So the Haredim do get involved, and they do voice their opinion. But when you have a whole section, and it's 2 million people, approximately, of your society that doesn't pay taxes, that doesn't work, that doesn't go to the army, you are automatically creating resentment. But it's starting to change on both sides, because you also have very liberal, anti-government, left-wing Jews that don't go to the army, that don't want to pay taxes, that are also in a different way protesting the government system. Mm-hmm. So there is a change within society. And I think that the change is coming because the very Haredi younger generation doesn't want to live in poverty. And unfortunately, when you don't work, you don't have money. It's very simple. It's the laws of capitalism. Mm-hmm. Now, the Israeli government gives money to yeshivot and gives money to the people that need help, and there's welfare systems and all of that. But I think that the more people are seeing what is out there in the world, in any part of society, they want to participate in that. And after October 7th, actually, in Israel, that did change, because I do see the younger generations of Haredim do want to participate. And it's not everyone, it's small, and it's changing slowly. But I truly believe that it can change and it will change. And when you have 9, 12, 15 kids living in a tiny apartment, very poor, don't have opportunities in life, don't have education, and they're expected to just continue that system, not every single one of them is going to want to live that way. So I hope it changes for their own benefit. And I hope that people can learn to live a life of Torah, a life of Zionism, and a life of Jews, because in the Torah, our forefathers, they worked and they studied. And King David, he worked and he studied and he went to war. So if we're actually basing the way we live our lives, which we should, on Torah values, it's very clear.
Nothing should be separated. We should incorporate and elevate the physical to the spiritual and not divide them.
And not everybody needs to be a combat soldier. There are many roles. I was actually just now in Yom HaZikaron at a ceremony of an organization called Kod Kod. Kod Kod, I think they have about 1,500 Haredi soldiers that they don't wear a uniform. They are not out in the field. They are a cybersecurity on computers unit that works in an office in Tel Aviv. They don't say that they're there because their community will throw them out. Wow. And their commander was my very good friend Moshe Leiter, whose father is now the Ambassador Yechiel Leiter in Washington. And Yechiel came to Yom HaZikaron at their base and spoke to these recruits and these soldiers that they're all Haredi and they're very proud to be there. But they can't show their picture, they can't show their face, and they can't get media because their own community will reject them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Is there something that you would like to say to a Jewish woman who, after October 7th, discovered that she was maybe rejected as a Jew when she really never considered herself as an identity Jewish? Like, there are so many women who live a life as a professional, and I'm a cardiologist, I'm a mother, I'm a lawyer, and yeah, I'm also a Jew, but that's part of my
So
personality. Now they feel like everybody's pointing at them like you're a Jew. What is it for you to be a Jew today? And also, how can a Jewish person today relate to the fight for Zionism when they don't know anything about it?
So number one, educate yourself. Just because you didn't know about it growing up or you weren't connected growing up, it's really never too late. There's enough resources out there today to educate yourself. And as adults, I think we need to take initiatives of what is important to us. You may not live like a Jew, but you're going to die like a Jew. And our enemies see us all the same. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how you lived, but it matters that you're Jewish and it matters to them. So why shouldn't it matter to you? And instead of it being something negative, it's a badge of honor. So own it. And I would say to somebody who's not connected, get involved, whatever that means to you. If it means becoming more connected spiritually, do it. Find a class that you like, find a teacher that you like, find an institution that you like.
They don't need to go to Israel to necessarily get involved.
But that's something else I didn't want to say. I do believe that everybody should go to Israel because I think that when you see it and you feel it, I can't explain it. Neither can you. When you're there is something that is magical. You feel different. I don't know if it's connection. I don't know if it's spiritual. I don't know if it's the air or the land that we're walking on. It's different. And when you go to a country where everyone loves you as a Jew, even if they have differences of opinions,
but they still love you.
They love you. They welcome you. You do feel like they're your brothers and sisters. And when you see how much they love you, you can only love them back. So I really do think that every single Jewish person must go to Israel. There's enough programs out there.
Momentum
is excellent. Birthright for the younger kids. APAC, FIDF, WITSO, to stand with us.
That's a very good thing to do when you really want to discover what it is.
And the other thing is, use your voice. It doesn't matter to who. If you're a cardiologist and there's 3 nurses that will listen, educate them. Educate yourself and then educate those around you, because every person that you educate can become an ambassador. Look, I've been doing this my whole life and I never had an official role or an official title. I was known in my community and I just kept doing whatever I could. And anything that would come across my desk or my way, I would say, yes, I want to do it. I want to get involved. Most recently, I actually was recognized and I was appointed by President Trump to the Holocaust Museum Board. There isn't a meeting until December. Does that mean that I should wait till December to wait and see what happens? No, there are things happening every single day. There's anti-Semitism. There's people fighting and dying in Israel. The baby of Tila died today. If you don't know about it, educate yourself. Make it your point and make it your mission to read an app or a newspaper that connects to Israel, if not every day, because I do that a few times a day, once a week. Know what's going on. Educate yourself about what's going on in Israel, what's going on in the Jewish world. 2 people were killed in DC last week. And you know what? Neither one of them was Jewish. You know what was their crime? That they were friends with Jews and they were allies of Jews and they went to a Jewish event. Does that mean that we should be scared to go to Jewish events? No. It means that if our friends are willing to put themselves on the line, and they're evangelical Christians who love Jews, love Israel, and are proud to be Zionists, how much more so do Jews have to do it? So educate yourself, go to Israel, get involved. Find something that you connect to. If it's women, if it's children, if it's soldiers, if it's Jewish education, get involved. Do something, because you don't need to have a title. You don't need to be recognized. You don't need to have a position to be a leader. You can be a leader in your home. You could be a leader in your community. You could be a leader in your workplace. And believe it or not, just by having nice, normal, educated conversations, you can really, really, really help heal the situation of what's going on in the world. And you're helping the Jewish people and America, because we're very, very lucky to be living in a country like the United States of America, with wonderful leadership that defends Jews, that recognizes Jews, supports Israel. And in Israel, we have a wonderful leader as well. He's been the leader, Prime Minister Netanyahu, for over 15 years, and he's leading this war, and he's fighting on 17 fronts. And as American Jews, we have to support the democratically elected leaders of Israel and the United States, whoever they are, whatever we believe in.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tila. It was
you.
so nice to have you, and thank you for giving us this voice of yours.
I'm always willing to talk. You give me a microphone and ask me anything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was so beautiful.
Thank you.